Hello, my name is Anne and welcome to day 2 of the Mighty Mitred Square. Today, I'm going to teach you how I make my square. Everybody makes them a little bit different, but I'm going to show you how I make mine. Maybe you'll like that better. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll get another idea. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't even make it to Mitred Square. Who knows? I'm rambling. Okay, check it out. So I've been watching a lot of Kay Litton of the Crazy Sock Lady tutorials, and she is mad crazy about Mitred Squares too. And I really like the way she starts hers. So I'm going to do, because I've always just done them in strips and built the strip and built the strip. What she does is she starts from the center and works out. So she will do her first 4 blocks. Okay, so say like this. She will do her first 4 blocks, but she does it so that the diagonals are going in 4 different directions, and then she builds up and around from that. So I thought that was a super way to do it. So thanks, Kay. I'm going to do it your way. So I have got my 2.75. I don't know if you can read that. 2.75, have I got that the right way? Yeah, US size 2 needles. And these are actually DPNs. And I love these. These are zings. I love these DPNs. They're nice and small. They're not too long. And I just put a needle stopper on the end. And they make nice little short needles. I wish they still made signatures, because every time I look at people who knit with signature needles, I want them, and they don't make them anymore. So this is the signature, and this was the January yarn that I dyed last year. This was my January yarn, which is Carnation, and this is what I had left after a pair of socks and making a little sock. So this is what I have left. It's 10 grams. So I am going to use this to make my first Mitred Square. So I'm going to cast on 49 stitches. And I used to do the long tail cast on method. But to be honest with you, when I make the Mitred Squares, I much prefer doing the cable cast on, which is actually the very first can you see that? Maybe I can bring it in. There, let's try that. This was the very first, this is how my grandmother taught me to knit, because she's the one who taught me to knit, and this is how she taught me to cast on. I did not learn the long tail cast on until about 6-7 years ago. So I go in between with through both loops, and then just knit and pop it on. So I am going to put 49 stitches on here, and then I'm going to turn around and knit 1 full row of knit stitches. And I'll be back to show you what I do next. Okay, so there are different ways of doing a Mitred Square. Some people will use a stitch marker in the center to mark the center. Others use the stitch marker below. Some people just use the stitch marker to notate the right and the wrong side. It's all different, but this is how I do mine. So I have 49 stitches on here, and I have knit 1 full row. So now I am going to knit 23 stitches. And the way I do mine, just making sure I can make sure this is in the shot. Is I have the same number of stitches either side of the double decrease, and the double decrease is always 3 stitches. So that's why 23, 23, and 3 is 49. So I am going to just knit along 23 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21, 22, 23. Let's just check. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we're now at the part that's the double decrease. So I am going to slip this stitch knitwise, knit 2 together, and then pass that slip stitch over. And that is my double decrease. Now there should be 23 stitches on this side that I will just knit to the end of the row. It's so easy. It's such a real, and then the nice thing about doing a mitered square is this is the most amount of stitches you'll have on the needle, because it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Now I read my fabric, I read my knitting, and I'll show you how I do that. I don't typically put markers. I just know, I don't count. I just know where I need to do things. And that's just years of experience. So that row is complete. Now, if you want to, this is where we did our double decrease, because you can see it's, you can if you want. I don't, but you can if you want to put a stitch marker there. Let's say right there. Because I always do my decreases on the right side. So if anything, that just marks it, it's the right side. But of course it is the center decrease. The second row, you are just going to knit right across, all the way across to the other side. Sometimes I might purl that center stitch just so I can see it on the other side, but very often I don't. Not anymore. I just knit them. Whoops. So this is a knit all the way across. This color was called Carnation because last year I dyed a color based on every birthstone. So there I'm at. Now I can tell that this was the double decrease because you can see it's got 2. So if you want to, at this point, I'll show you what it looks like. You can do a purl there and go back to knitting the rest. And I'll show you how that helps on the other side. So yeah, so last year I dyed a different color each month for the birth flowers. And the birth flowers for January is Carnation. So this was my Carnation. right, so now we're back to the right side, and you can see that there is where my stitch marker was, marking that center, but you can also tell the center stitch now. Can you see that? Because there's a little knit stitch amongst all the garter bumps. So now we would be knitting 22 stitches, and that would get us to one before here. So let's see, 22 stitches, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There's my 22 stitches, and look, there's our center decrease, and there, which is also marked by a knit stitch, and we're one before it because that's the one we're going to slip knitwise, knit these two together, and pass the slip stitch over, and we're going to just knit to the end. Now, did you see how you can easily tell? That's because of that little thing. So you can do it that way if it's easier, or you can just knit all the way across on the second row. Doesn't matter. I'll knit all the way across for the second one to show you how it would look on the other side. And you can decide which way you prefer to do it. I am super excited to do this Mitred Square knit along. I feel like we'll definitely get a good chunk done of these blankets, or I should say I should finally be able to make a blanket, not just keep winding off and doing pillows instead. So I'm just going to knit all the way across this side now. So I think it will be fun. And then once I've done all the colors that I've done in the last 12 months, which has actually been quite a few colors, some socks sets that I made had minis with them. So it'll be interesting to see how many I dyed, and see, there's my center again. I would normally be purling now, but I'm not. I'm going to just knit straight across this one this time, just to show you. Oh, here we go, 21 stitches. But again, like I said, after a while, I don't count how many I've done. I just go to one before the center stitch, which I recognize as being the center stitch. And I just keep going till it's done, till I'm left with 3 stitches. I think that's 21. Nope. That should be 21, I think. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 19, 20, 20, 21. So you can see I almost went to the end, to the middle, because I didn't see my little knit stitch to tell me this was the center. Yes, I have this here. And you could move it up each time, but I'm too lazy to do that. So that's why I like doing the purl on the other side. So last time, you're going to slip it knitwise. And somebody told me long time ago that when you're knitting and slipping a stitch, you should slip the way you're going to knit the next stitch. So because I'm knitting the next stitch, that's why you should slip knitwise. So knit these two together, pass the slip stitch over, and knit to the end. So I am going to keep doing this until I get down to the last 3 or so stitches, and I'll come back and show you how it's going. See you in a bit. Okay, so I'm getting to the end. So knit 2, whoops. Here's my knit stitch, so 1 before, I'm going to slip, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, knit 2, knit 1, knit 2, there's my double decrease, so I'm going to purl that 1, knit 2, knit 1, there's my little knit stitch, so 1 before that, slip it, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, knit, then I'm just going to knit these 3 stitches. I don't need to do a purl here because we are now just going to slip this one, knit these 2 together, and pass the slip stitch over, and we're done. So I am just gonna pull my needle out. Cut my yarn, thread that through there. Come on. And pull. And there is my Mitred Square. So you can see on the front, and it's flat. It's not a raised one, which I think is nice, but you still have your, and on the other side are what I call the little, they're like little horseshoes all the way down the middle. But there's the Mitred Square. Tomorrow, I'll show you how to join. I hope you enjoyed this video. So what do you think? You think you can make one? Oh, I hope you can. I want you to join in. I want you to join in. I mean, yes, it's fingering weight yarn. Yes, it's small needles, but they're just a small little thing, a little square. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video today, and I hope you'll come back tomorrow and I'll show you how to join them all together.